Hello students. So in this session we are going to learn about the transparency of an object. As you can see, I have already masked tape all around the four sides, and the brushes I'll be using is a flat brush of number 4 and a round brush of number 2 and number 1. Also another small 0 number round brush for the detailings. Also I'll be using the acrylic paint of black color, white color and red color. Also, I'll be using a green acrylic paint. Painting the transparency of an object becomes tricky sometimes. So let us see how we can create that. Remember to have a palette to mix the colors. Also remember to have a cup of water and a waste cloth with you. Please wash the brush nice and clean before you start off with the paint. So I'm just taking the first color of black and I'll be painting it all over the surface. Or instead, you can even avoid this step by using a black paper or a black canvas. So in transparency, the main question is how can we illustrate the form of the object while still allowing the object to appear see through it? How is it possible? Do you have any ideas? Let's start off with our first step. So we are starting with our drawing wherein I'm just marking the highlights and the reflections to make it easier to paint later on. So I'm using a white glass marker pencil as I'm using a black surface. This is the only color which could be seen. So I'm using a white glass marker pencil. I'm just creating the outline of the highlights and the reflection. So there are some basic tips where we can concentrate on while doing the transparency. Okay, the first thing is we have to focus on the highlights. So we have to see where the highlights is. If it is a glass, like we have to check where is the highlight and where the light is falling from and where do we get that reflection. So we have to observe all these things and then we have to make a sketch accordingly and then we have to start painting. As you can see now, we have completed with our sketch. I'm taking the smaller number brush, that is a 0 number brush, and I'm creating the detailing of the transparency. So now I'm just painting the liquid which is falling inside the glass. Also, the second most important thing is we have to observe the thickness of the transparent object. So if in case like we are pouring a water inside a glass or we are pouring a juice inside a glass, there will be some thickness of the liquid which is falling and also the glass which is falling. There will be different shapes of glass, different size of glass, and there will be different thickness of glass. So in this glass, if you can observe, the upper part is a bit thicker and the lower part is a bit lean. Also it is hard, we can hold it. So we have to observe the thickness and the transparency of the objects. Also, we have to keep the background behind the transparent object in mind as we have to paint them as well. Suppose I'm using a black surface or a black background here, but what if there is a glass in front of a wall or in front of a sea or in front of some sunset? So behind the glass as a background, we have to paint the sunset or the sea or a wall. Or if there is a person behind a glass, then we have to paint a person because the object is transparent. We can literally see through the objects. Suppose if you are holding a glass in front of you and someone is standing in the opposite side, of course you can make out who is that because you can see through it. So always remember, whenever you are doing a transparent object painting, you have to keep the background as well in your mind as we can see the background clearly. Of course, it will not be in detail, but there will be some glitches over there. It will not be completely visible there will be some shades or some highlights and the shadows, and it will be not clear, it will be a bit blur. So all these things matters. You have to keep all those things in your mind and then start the painting. As you can see, I'm just giving a random lines and strokes for the liquid which is falling inside the glass. Use a small detail brush. In a big brush you cannot do all these detailings. Also you can see if there's some strokes are a bit thick white paint I'm using, and in some strokes I'm using a very light white paint. So that also considers the transparency of an object when we are painting. Using the same method, I'll be creating all the liquid transparency. I've just fast forwarded a little because it will take too much of time, but you can see each and every step clearly. I'm using the white paint and I'm creating the borders of the glass over here. So if you can observe, at the edges I'm using the thick white paint. As I go inside, I'm using more water and I'm making it blend in. Okay, so this is what the thickness of the glass which I was talking about. So the neck of the glass is a bit thick. I'm using a thick white paint, and as I come down, I'm going a little lean. So now we are finished with our glass. So inside, as we come inside, we are blending the white color with black color. It is really a light gradient effect which we have given, so it appears realistic. Now I have finished the glass. Now we will be adding something inside the glass. Yes, right. So plain glass, what do we do with that? So now I have taken my green paint. So I'm just adding a fruit inside the liquid. I'm just making a circular shape with the green paint. As you can see, I'm just applying a light green paint. It is not so thick and not even so transparent. Do not apply too much of water here. I'm adding another round shape of the green. Adding one more fruit in a circular shape. Actually, it's in a oval shape, not a complete circle. It's a bit oval shape which I'm adding. And now I'm using a chrome yellow. Take a bit of yellow in your palette, and I'm taking it and mixing it with the green to make it more lighter. Then I'm giving it for the highlighting of the fruit. So at the edges it's a bit dark and in the center it is lighter. So it appears realistic. It gives us a bulged effect. So I'm using it only in the center part of the fruit. And I'm even going with the edges of the transparent glass. Now I'm adding some more yellow at the tip. So if you can see now, it is almost getting completed. Adding the same effect for the another fruit which is there in the glass. Now I'm taking my red acrylic paint. I'm just adding it in the tip of the fruit, just like a dot. I'm doing the same thing for the second fruit. Adding some more thick red paint. Now our artwork is completed. So I hope you have done it with me. If not, please complete this artwork. And now we are ready to remove the masking tape. But before we remove, we will just add one more small highlighting part which is necessary. So if there is a liquid inside the glass, it will definitely be appeared even on the fruit, right? So I'm just creating a highlight, a liquid which is there on the fruit. I'm just creating that highlight now, just in between the fruits. To give it a realistic effect, it looks like it is inside the liquid. It is not somewhere behind or around the liquid. So we just need that effect. So the main things which you have to keep in your mind for the transparency is, first is you have to focus on the highlights, and the second is observe the thickness of the transparent objects. Okay, and main thing, the third point which you have to keep in mind is you have to keep the background behind the transparent object in your mind, as you will have to paint them as well. Okay, and also keep in mind that even transparent objects have shadows, so don't forget to apply the shadows. Yeah, and the final thing which I want to give you as a better tip is to paint exactly what you see, and you can't go wrong with that. So whatever you might see, a glass and a liquid inside it, or a bowl with inside some fruits or something else, anything, it could be anything, any transparent objects, so please paint it exactly as you see. If you see a reflection, please add a reflection. If you see a shadow, please add a shadow. So for this, observation is the most important thing. So you have to observe all the small details. Sometimes shadows will be very less visible, like we cannot see until and unless we have a good observation. So observation is also important. It plays a vital role. So observe whatever you're seeing, how it is, how the object has been placed, and where, from where the light is falling and where the shadows appearing, and how the liquids are, and what is the depth of the object, what is the thickness. All these things you have to observe, and you have to start creating it. So beside these all tips, practice is the only thing which can help you people to get the perfection. So please practice this again and again. So not only the same painting, you can even try it with different things, different paintings, different objects. Practice again and again, and definitely you will get the perfection. You will achieve it. Carefully remove your masking tape. If you are using a watercolor paper, but then please be careful. If you're using a canvas, then it's okay. So once the paint is dried completely, yes, you can. So here I'm using a canvas cloth. It is not a paper, it is a canvas cloth. It's a booklet, canvas booklet. Always, I would suggest you to use a canvas board or a canvas pad or a canvas cloth like this, so which is really good for acrylics. Please avoid using watercolor papers or any other papers for acrylics. So now our painting is good to go. So isn't it good? Please practice this and achieve the perfection. I hope you can do this more better than mine and upload it in our Google Classroom to have a look. And remember, art is always a good start. See you in the next session. Bye bye.